The next and final module within Survey Manager that we're going to be talking about is SnapView. And what SnapView allows you to do is overlay multiple different surveys together that have overlapping GPS coordinates in order for you to be able to glean more information and insight into what's going on with that pipeline segment. And so to add a survey to SnapView so that you can do this overlay functionality is first you need to be an indirect survey. This functionality is available for indirect surveys only at this point. And you'll open up a survey file. And so I've named this close interval survey SnapView Demo. And the way that you can export this survey segment into the SnapView module is by clicking on this little pie chart looking icon in the table. And if you hover over it, it'll say add to SnapView, and all you have to do is click that. And then it's going to ask you for a name. And so I'm going to say SnapView Training. You can add a description if you would like, and then say submit, and assuming everything works, it'll give you a success message. And you're going to do that exact same thing for the different survey types that you want to include here. And so the next one that I'm going to do is a DCVG survey file that I know is from the same pipeline segment. And so I'm going to do the same thing, add to SnapView, DCVG, SnapView, and say submit. And then we're going to do that one more time. We're going to do it with this dpol survey here that is also from that same pipeline segment. And also click this add to SnapView module. And so this depolarized survey is going to be added. And the thing to keep in mind with SnapView is you have the ability to add up to 3 different surveys and overlay them on top of each other. It does use some methodology when we will get to that, where it looks at the GPS coordinates of other survey files that are in the SnapView module, and then it overlays on top of each other. They can be the same file type, so say you have close interval surveys that are over the same pipeline segment over a period of time, and so you want to see areas of deteriorating health, but it doesn't have to be the same survey segment. As you just saw, I have a close interval and a DCVG and a depolarized survey, which in the next segment we will be overlaying on top of each other. So before we actually start overlaying some files together, we're going to talk about the layout of the SnapView module in general. And so when you go into SnapView, it's going to open up the last saved SnapView that you've built. And we will talk through in a little bit later detail around why it's called SnapView in the first place. But for now, we're just going to talk about the layout. And so at the top, you'll have any saved SnapViews that you have for access. And then you'll have a navigation bar underneath it that is a little bit different than the navigation on the other 2 modules within Survey Manager. And so it's really an organizational structure for you. First, you have quick access to any recent entries that you have in the recent entries folder. Second, you have the ability to favorite any surveys that you want to from within the staging folder, and it will add them to your favorites folder. And then also there's the concept of being able to share surveys within here with other users in your organization. And so that I don't have any in here, but if somebody had shared a survey file with me, I would be able to see it within that shared with me folder there. And then finally, there's a folder structure that has unlimited options for the way you can organize things within SnapView. And to add a new folder, all you do is click on this little plus, and it'll bring up a dialog box for you to add that new folder in. And then finally, there's the concept of a staging folder. And so staging is where all of the files are that you've added in from the indirect survey module that are available for you to upload on or overlay on top of each other. And so I've got my DCVG survey in here. as well as the depolarized survey. And then this bottom one here is my close interval survey that I just submitted from indirect survey. And so everything that you send in here is going to land in staging automatically, and then we will talk about how we will overlay those together. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to overlay some different survey files together. And so now I'm in the staging folder here, and that's where all of your available survey files for overlaying will be. And so the first step is just clicking on the little chart icon for one of the surveys, and the one that you pick will be survey of the overlaid files. Specifically, that matters in terms of the map because it will show the different survey lines on top of each other. And so I'm going to click the close interval survey as the basis for my survey overlay. And so you just click the little chart icon here and it brings up a window. And the next step is just clicking on this little icon here. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it has compare survey as the little bubble that pops up. And it's going to do a query and a search of all available surveys that have been submitted into SnapView that have GPS coordinates that overlay with the survey that you chose. And so here you'll see that I've got the DCVG survey as well as the SnapView depolarized survey that I submitted in here. And then you can add a buffer distance. I typically just leave that to the default of 60 feet, and then you can give it a name. And so I'm just gonna say SnapView training here and say submit. And it's going to give you a little status down here of saying it's matching it up and it's doing the overlaying work. And then once it's done, you will have a new survey that has a little pie chart next to it. And that's saying this is a survey file that has been overlaid. And so you have the individual different survey components to that. And then you have the actual compiled survey file as well. And so what I like to do is I like to clean house, if you will. And I'm gonna delete the other files out of here. I don't really need them anymore. I've already overlaid them together, and so it's just noise in your staging folder, and so it's really best practice to keep that really clean. The next thing we're going to do is actually build our overlay view. And so you're going to find out why SnapView is named the way it is. It is quite literally named after its functionality. And so the way that you're going to build your overlay view is you're going to open up the 3 different areas if you want to overlay all of them, and then, or if you want to include all of them in your view, if you will. And then all you do here is you grab this yellow bar right here and then you drag it into place, and you'll notice the screen is trying to lock it into different locations. And it definitely takes some getting used to in terms of trying to get it to lock. But when it has a dark gray box like the one behind it, it has a place where it's locked into place, and then you just drop it. And so it's just snapping these different components into place. And so I'm going to put the table on the bottom of the screen if it will let me. There we go. And then so this is the view that I've gotten built here. You've got your chart on the top right, and then you've got or top left, sorry, and then you've got the table on the bottom, and then the map on the right. You can build this really however you want. If you want to move something around, just grab the box and then drop it somewhere else. Say we want to put the chart on the bottom. There's different, you have complete control over the view that you build here. And then at the end of the day, when you want to save the view that you've gotten finalized, so say this is what we want to save as our final view, all you do is click the save button here, and I'm going to say SnapView training again. and say submit. And it's gonna put it into the SnapView's shortcut list that I've gotten built in terms of views. And so that's the way that the different views are actually built using an overlaid survey. So now let's talk through some of the options that are available to you once you have your SnapView built. And so first, talking about the chart, a lot of the icons and information that you see on the bottom of the chart is the same as you would see in indirect survey. And so the numbers that are in the boxes down here mean there's 45 unique instances on that survey spot location itself. And then you can also create a PDF report that packages up all of these different surveys together into one chart PDF that you can then share outside of Survey Manager, whatever you would like to do with that PDF once it prints it. The options in here are largely the same as is in the chart PDF tool within the indirect survey module. In terms of flexibility and customization with footers and headers and the information included in here on that PDF report. And then you have the ability to turn on or off if you don't want the map to follow your cursor along as you go along with the chart. And then finally, there's some chart options in here. And so with SnapView, the options that you have available is first, you can control which different lines show up as which color. I believe these are the default. We'll just go ahead and leave those that color. And then also you have the ability to add shift lines in here. And so say you want to add a 100 millivolt shift to your depolarized survey line. All you would have to do is enter that value here. And this is in volts. That's why I have a 0.1 in here. That's what the default unit is for this box. And then you can also control your bounding lines, what color those show up at, and which values those show up at. And then finally, you've got some customization in terms of your DCVG bars on the chart itself. And so once you're done, all you can do is, or all you have to do is say apply, and it will pull up any of the information that you've added in. And so, for example, I have that shift line that I added in here. And then of course, if you want to make it go the other direction, just add a negative and it'll put it in the appropriate location. And then finally, you have the ability to download this data that has all of these different readings from the 3 surveys combined that I overlaid together by clicking this export to spreadsheet icon here. And that will take all of your data here and dump it into Excel. And then you have the same map controls that are available in the other modules in Survey Manager. That's consistent. Those are all map box functionality. That's the map that we use. And then finally, you have the ability to favorite from within your navigation pane over here. Right click on the survey and then you can say favorite. You can click on info to see which information is included in it in terms of the surveys, the original base survey that you picked, the type of survey that it is. You can see who did it, and all of the information necessary for that particular file. If you say manage, you can actually move it to a different folder if you would like and get it out of your staging folder in order to just keep staging clean for files that still need to be categorized. And then finally, you have the ability to share within here. And share will bring up all of the different users that are available within your Survey Manager environment. And once you do that, it will show up in their shared with me folder within this instance. And then the other thing you can do is edit Edit is really a fancy way of saying rename in Survey Manager. And then when you're done with this analysis, we recommend when you no longer need the SnapView built in here at all, we recommend as a best practice to go ahead and say delete just to keep it clean. People have started to notice performance implications if they have a tremendous amount of files that have been added in here and they don't ever do that housekeeping.